सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। We had finished the 51st and 52nd shloka. We will look into the 53rd. upādhivilayādviṣṇau nirviśeṣaṃ viśenmuniḥ jale jalaṃ viyadvyomni tejastejasi yathā In Vedanta, we keep hearing about Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti meaning Jivan eva muktihi labhyate. It is not a posthumous reality that you put the effort here and then you get the result after leaving this body. Swarga is of that concept that you do the punya here and then once you leave from here, then you get whatever is your karma, based on that you will have the results. But then that is not permanent either. Kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. And it is not immediate. It is later and nothing is experienced now. So whatever I am putting the effort is not giving that experience here and now. So Jivan Mukti is that understanding and abidance which happens here now through Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. In this Jivan Mukti, what is happening? A very crucial aspect which takes a very subtlety in understanding, that the avidya has two kinds of things. One, it stops us from seeing the reality. Second, that avidya itself to be removed. Now when the avidya is to be stopped from having its impact of limitation, the only method that we have seen is Jnana. Jnanat evatu kaivalyam. So as soon as that Shravana is done, Jnana happens. Again, it is not a happening, it is not an event, but you recognize your own true nature. When it doesn't happen, then we see that it is the lot of sandeha, that sandeha nivritti has to happen in the manana. Now when that, through that manana, when the sandeha nivritti is done completely, we understand, we come to know my own true nature. It is not that reality anymore, but it is this reality, this which that I am. But then the abidance finds a lot of turbulence. Why does the abidance find lot of turbulence? It is purely because there are habitual errors that continue to exist. Those habitual errors that continue to exist, that which we have been habituated to, not just this life, but from several, you cannot even count how many, that many lives impressions that we have gotten habituated to. Though I understand, but inadvertently I keep committing those mistakes purely based out of my habits. That aspect can be removed only through nididhyasana. Through all this process, what happens is Jivan Mukti is ascertained, understood, and we abide in it. Though we abide in it, just like the fans when we turn it off, it has its prarabdha still continuing in the form of momentum. Though it is completely turned off, it doesn't screechingly come to a stop. It is not like a brake. Even when you put a brake, if there is the velocity which is very high, there is a skid mark on the road, that you see yourself skidding. Your body has come to stop, but the speed that with which you are moving has not stopped, therefore you continue that. You still continue with it. Similarly, even though I understand that I am this Atma Chaitanya, which is the substratum of this entire creation, I am that Brahman alone, that substratum alone. That understanding is unshakably profound. But yet, because of the prarabdha of sthula, sukshma and karana sharira, that which still continues. Therefore, the body, mind and intellect and the karana sharira still continues. So here comes the dilemma. What is the dilemma? If this body, mind and intellect and the karana sharira continue, that means they can continue only when there is avidya. You say you have already ascertained and abide in that vidya, which is your true nature, and yet the body, mind and intellect and karana sharira move, they function, which clearly shows that there is the relevance for avidya. Through jnana, through that particular aparokshanubhuti, there has been avidya badhita effect. That has been removed. But there is a trace of avidya which still exists, through which the prarabdha executes itself, because it is like an arrow which is already shot. Therefore, we have the second word. First is the Jivan Mukti. The second is called videha mukti. Therefore, when you look into, I've seen this in Bhagavatam, there are two words used. When a jiva leaves the body, dies, they say panchatvam gataha. A very beautifully technical word used. Panchatvam gataha. When a realized one leaves the body, it is called panchatvam vilinaha. One is gataha, the second one is vilinaha. So when the jiva leaves the body, the five elements are continuing, because the sukshma sharira is still the five elements. Gataha, packed with that luggage of sukshma sharira, karana sharira, which essentially means the vasanas. Packing all that luggage, meaning all the software is packed, hardware is left behind. Therefore, we don't say the brain is the mind. The brain is only the hardware. The software is the mind, the intellect, the ahankara, the memories, all of them withdrawn. The organs are just the sthula sharira, the functionality of the organs, the ability to see, the ability to hear, the ability to smell, taste and touch, that is withdrawn. The ability to move the hands, the ability to move on the feet or through the feet, the ability to the excretory process, the pranas, all of this is withdrawn. That luggage of Panchamahabhuta in the subtle format is moving to settle in another body. Jiva has no name, Jiva has no identity called a male or a female. That is only at the body level. So the Jiva, which is this conglomerate, all of this with that reflected consciousness and the ahankara, moves to settle in another house which he or she may have gained through their karma. Panchatvam gataha. But in a realized one, these at every stage have been vilinaha. Vilinaha, they have been offered back to their nascent value, that there is no more scope of sanchita and agami. Therefore, there is no more birth. Therefore, thereby there is no death. Because there is no continuance of these five elements, it has been merged back. Now, in this merger, though the focus there is because we understand the Panchamahabhuta, because it is tangible for us, here they are talking not from the standpoint of the Panchamahabhuta, but they are talking about that Vilina from the standpoint of Atma Chaitanya. This much of introduction is required before I can touch this shloka. Are the points clear? Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti, Panchatvam Gataha, Panchatvam Vilinaha. Now, upādhivilayādviṣṇau nirviśeṣaṃ viśenmuniḥ. The crux is in this first sentence. Upādhivilayādviṣṇau. When the prarabdha of this system, body, mind, intellect, prarabdha, has come to the vasanas, has come to an end, the prarabdha has come to an end, what happens? The body is dropped, the mind is dropped, the intellect is dropped. There is no ahankara to drop. It's already done. The final merger happens. See, even in the companies, when they are purchased, the big companies, merge the smaller companies. There is, I think, a stipulated period of 2 years or 3 years, up until when the merging is happening. Then it becomes merged. There is no more the earlier identity. The newer identity is born. So we used to joke back in America, why did not FedEx and UPS merge? Both are the parcel service. They could have merged. I said, no, they did not, because when you merge them, it would have become fed-ups. One of the identity has to merge. One identity merges into the other, and then the newer identity continues without a trace of the other to become one. Upādhivilayāt, the upadhis are all dropped. The upadhis, here we are not talking about disidentifying. That is only when there is prarabdha still continuing. Here it is dropped. Vilaya. When you go to sleep, it is called laya. When the finality of it happens, where it is not the death like in the jiva, but it is leaving the body as though at will, that there is no more such limitations that can continue. The Atma Chaitanya merges into the oneness. When I say merges, there is nothing more limiting it, therefore that which was unlimited remains to be unlimited. That is how the understanding has to be taken. Where in Vishnau, here Vishnu, though we have Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, just now we were in the ashram at Bombay. So though I had the privilege of wearing the orange and sitting at a table where people will serve, sometimes our meetings extended, so I had to come down to the place where the plates, cups, glasses, spoons, everything is kept, pick each one of them and then go serve oneself. So at that time, I would always feel that I have become Vishnu. Why? He has Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, I have plate, cup, spoon, glass, so I have taken the Vishesha Avatar. It is not that Vishnu which is being talked about here. Here Vishnu means that who is Sarvavyapi, that which is always ever present and all pervasive. Into that all pervasiveness, there is the final merger that happens. Again, because our way of understanding is still limited, therefore I'll keep re-insisting on it. It is not to be understood like, a glass of milk that I had taken to make coffee, the milk is still left. So that leftover milk of glass of milk is poured back into the bigger container. Now in both places, It was uncorrupted milk only. So you add it back to its original state. So there is a limitation of vastu, there is a limitation of space, there is a limitation of various things. There was never such limitation. Limitation was only assumed by the identified entity. There was never such limitation. The space in this room and the space of the totality have never been separated. For our utility, we have used this as the separate space, a space created, and then the municipality comes, it calculates how much space that you have owned now, and then there is a tax according to it. Then the electricity fellow comes and says how much ever we meter that, and then you pay accordingly. Water bill comes to that. All these are nothing but from the basic assumption that this space now which is constructed, space cannot be constructed. Space cannot be limited. It's an assumption as if that space is limited. For whatever reasons, these four walls are brought down. They say this space merged into the totality of space. They were never separated. The assumption that it was separated is vilinaha, is dropped. To be understood from that standpoint. Nirviśeṣaṃ viśenmuniḥ, into that which is nirguna, nirakara, parabrahma, paramatma, the completeness is experienced as soon as this is dropped. That is when the complete experience happens. Until then, there is still that trace of avidya. Viśenmuniḥ, the muni, the mananashila, is absorbed into it, resolved into it without any distinction. So there are couple of examples given. Jalaṃ, jale. Like you take the water in your anjali, you have gone to a Jiva Nadi, Krishna, Godavari, Tungabhadra, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Narmada, Kaveri. I said Kaveri. So you go into one of those rivers, take bath, take a dip, and then you stand in that flowing water, take some water in your hand, and then say your mantra looking at that sun, you drop it back. As you drop that water from your hand into the flowing water, can you identify which water was dropped into that river? It cannot be distinguished separately. Undistinguishable. It's the same, one and the same. Jale, jalaṃ. Viyadvyomni. We have already taken that example of the room space and the total space. Tejastejasi. The light into the light. When the limitation is removed, the reflected light which is coming into the room, remove the limitation, then you will see that as though this light is merged back into that. And what exists, what has always existed is that light alone. Now, why is this concept necessary? Again, this will create layers of doubts. If there is doubt, the mind cannot get absorbed. The intellect, coin, 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 it will keep happening. All of this is fine, but there are so many ifs and buts. And it goes in that loop. The moment there is an if and but, the restlessness that it creates, you can see it in the eyes. It's like anta arthamaindi kaani something is missing. Because logically, when you say that Jivan Mukti has happened, the body should also done. Logically it should happen, but it doesn't seem to happen. And because that doesn't happen, there are so many schools of thoughts that have taken that as a primary pivotal logic to say that there cannot be Jivan Mukti, there has to be only the afterlife. You have to go to Salokya, Samipya, Sayujya, Sarupya. It can happen only there. You go to the Ishta Devata Loka and then you serve that Lord there. All these different schools of thoughts come into picture because this clarity is somewhere vague in the understanding. Therefore, this is being discussed. So, upādhivilayādviṣṇau nirviśeṣaṃ, there is no vishesha, viśenmuniḥ, the muni is absorbed, vishet is to be absorbed or to be resolved into the completeness. I am specifically not using the word into the totality. Totality is a concept when I can talk about individuality. There is no more individual. When a glass of water is thrown into the river, though technically it becomes the river the totality, it falls into the river called totality, but it is essentially becoming the essence, which is nothing but water. So into that completeness, the final merger happens. Now, instead of proceeding further, there is still time. This is the finality, right? If that is the, like for the directions when we say the goal, destination, if that is the finality, where am I has to be very clear. If that is not clear, we are only interested in the finality, you will only be in imaginative world and not progressing. So where should we begin all of this? How strong, effective, efficient is my viveka? You've been introduced to the word and its a definition of what is the understanding of Videha Mukti, Jivan Mukti. But how does one reach there? How does one become what, not become, but how does one understand their own being? It starts from viveka. The sadhana chatushtaya we talk about. If that is not profound and strong, we lose track of sadhana, we lose the momentum, stop the sadhana itself, or going around in circles thinking that we are doing sadhana. That is why Upanishads say, Kshurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. It is durgamam. Durgamam, very difficult. But not asadhyam. Asadhyam, impossible. It is not an impossibility, it is a difficult one. And it's like walking on the razor's edge. If that is the only way out, every step that you take, you must be careful that you are walking on the edge of a sword. Every step is going to be hard, every step is going to be challenging. And you cannot afford to take 2-3 chances. That many cuts. You cannot afford to slide back, because you have to again go through that same thing again. So what should be the foundation? Foundation always starts from viveka. We all have viveka. Even as a jantu whose intellect is not a pashu, whose intellect is not that sophisticated, say in rainy season or in the cold season, we see that they don't want a shaded corner. From the shaded corner you will find that they will find a comfortable sunny spot and lie in that sun. They also understand sunbathing. I was sitting at somebody's porch waiting for the person to meet. So they had a dog. That dog was under the shed. So it pulled its whatever little, what do you call, soft mat or something. It pulled it. There is sun in a lot of space. It also understands I cannot take this and put it right in the middle of the path wherein I will get disturbed. It should not become a nuisance for others. It also understands. So it chooses that particular corner where it doesn't disturb others, pushes this mat there, and then lies down bathing in the sun. Viveka. You go to a grocery store. Supposing you have to buy vegetables. The shopkeeper would want to take everything, put it on the measuring thing, and then put it in our bag. I said, no, wait. What do? You start picking. Picking and choosing is also different for different vegetables. Supposing you have to buy bhendi, bendakai. What do? You have a test for it. You snap on the, you don't even need to snap, you touch it, you know that it is tender. But you still want to make a perfect selection. Then you go to the tip of it and then bend it slightly. And then it snaps, it breaks. then it is tender. If you bend and it stays, then it is not tender, because it seems to bend but it will go back to its original position. It is more fibrous, it is not tender anymore. So we have such tests. The lauki, sorakai, anapai. What do you do the test? I am not asking this side, I am asking this side. So you take the tip of your fingernail and try gently pressing. If it pierces in effortlessly, it is tender and ready. If it is little difficult, then you put it aside. Coconut, even that which is rotten inside, you shake it, will say gal gal gal. There is a sound test. You hold it and snap your finger on it. If there is a hollow sound, that means inside has rotten. If it is a distinct clear sound, then it is good one. Inside is not rotten. We apply viveka in all our vyavahara. A hot cup of coffee is given, unless you are in US, wherein you order a hot cup of coffee and while drinking it slips on you and you sue that company saying, it burnt me. Nee telivemaindi. And the most shocking part is, when she sued that company, she was awarded some benefit. You are taking a hot cup of coffee. What is your viveka do? To your sippable range of comfort, you start blowing on it, so that at least that surface area becomes a little cooler, so that you can start sipping in. You have applied viveka. In every walk of life, we apply viveka. You are sitting there, you moved here, you sat there, then you moved here. Why? Applied viveka. It is not that we do not have viveka. It is only that now this viveka has to be applied not in vyavahara, not in samsara, but in adhyatma. Therefore, here viveka, it is not about good or bad. It is not about right or wrong. It is much subtler than that. What is that subtlety? Atma, anatma. All that which I am attached to is anatma. Why is it anatma? All that which it is illumining, that is the Atma Chaitanya. How do I know my understanding is perfected? That which is anatma, effortlessly you are ready to drop. Drop the vastu, the attachment to that vastu, everything happens naturally. It's not like you are trying hard, difficult to put that effort to, peel it out. I say, the sadhana is a traumatizing experience because so much has to be given up. If your understanding is there, you don't have to give up. It drops. Am I coming across clearly? There's a difference. When you drop, there is no melodrama behind it. Like when we talk to our kids, oh, what kind of melodrama there? I have given up all my comfort all through my life to give you that which I have never experienced, and still yet you, useless fellow. Because I am giving up, there is still that. When the understanding is clear, it drops. As your understanding gets clear, you will see that your friend circle suddenly is dropping. Your friend circle is suddenly changing. Why? Because your understanding is different, their understanding is different. Based on that understanding, the priorities become different. When the priorities become different, certainly the paths that you take become different. The environments that you choose to engage yourself in starts changing. What you watch, what you see, what you hear, what you read starts changing. In the beginning, it is more like out of disgust. Chichi. Ivanni empty. And then we also have the audacity that we have just started our chichi business. We now look down upon the others. I am not like them. I have made a slight change and now I claim myself to be on a superior level and say, I am not like them. I am better than them. Therefore, in the pledge, Gurudev did not say to be better than the rest of them. But that is how the beginning it starts. There is a disgust. Chi, yak, ugh. Then comes the next stage wherein there is no more disgust. You understand the process of peeling off. It falls away. There is no disgust about that which has fallen. And there is no special interest also in that. Up until then it must have looked very, very attractive, very, very inviting. But then it drops. Neither there is raga nor there is jugupsa. I am not talking of just dvesha. Jugupsa, it is like disgust with hatred. It is neither. है तो है, नहीं है तो नहीं है. That status is called vairagya. Viveka leads to vairagya. Then the next steps becomes easy. Instead of focusing on viveka, we try to get shama, dama, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhana. It is like trying to cook without fire. I mean, of course, if you are eating a salad, you don't need the fire. You only need the fire in the belly to digest it, jataragni. But outside fire is not required. But if you have to cook a decent meal, not an elaborate, but at least a decent meal, you require fire. Without that fire, you want to do everything else. It seems like you are not progressing, nothing is happening, there is always a slip. Why? The fire of viveka is absent. The clarity is not instilled properly. Shama means what? To withdraw the mind from all that which is anatma. Dama, to have discipline on the organs of action. At the organ level, organs of action and organs of knowledge. If I don't have to taste it, my mouth should not start watering. See, if I describe a raw mango, freshly plucked out of the tree, it is still oozing, and the effervescence that is coming, the rawness hits your nostrils, and then you peel that green layer, cut it into slices, throw some salt and red chili powder on the top, both sides. Then, as you put it in your mouth, that combination, how many of us mouth is watering? The very thought of it. Similarly, the vastu, if the viveka is not there, the inside it is still watering. But outside I want to show that I am restricting. If the viveka is clear, that inside sapidity, the rasa for it is not there. Am I getting across? Without this viveka, you try shama dama, it is such a Herculean task. And you want to now withdraw from all of it to have some peace within. It becomes difficult. It becomes impossible. When the withdrawal itself becomes impossible, Uparama, to withdraw and sit quietly within, is next to impossibility. Then titiksha becomes frustrating. Titiksha means the power of endurance. When a fellow wants to build muscles, what kind of pain it is? Muscle toning is not easy. We may have tried all the yogasanas and other things and exercises. How difficult is it to reshape the Madhya Pradesh? But if it is forced upon you too, such a pain, such revolt against it. But for the fellow who is now convinced that I have to build this muscle for better health or good looks or whatever be the cause, he is sweating, he is toiling, it is hurting. There is a pain threshold. You have reached that pain threshold. But now you have to push yourself beyond that pain threshold. You may have seen the cricketers or the tennis players who have been practicing for 8-9 hours daily. When in the heat of that competition, when in the climax of that competition, their muscles start aching, their muscles start spasming. When the camera is taken close up, you will see that muscle twitching. It is the most painful thing. But to endure it and still continue, you must be really convinced, and that conviction can happen only if viveka is strong. Otherwise, titiksha becomes frustrating. Then comes the dialogues. How long should I tolerate? Titiksha is not tolerance point. Titiksha is enduring to get past the pain threshold. If you have had introduction to physics, every tolerance has a breaking point. It will break. I'll give you a silly example. You must have been using toothbrush. Over a period of time that you have used, suddenly the top portion from the handle portion, it snaps, it breaks. We make fun of that fellow. They're like, dude, that is not where you have to apply your force. I mean, he may have applied that force, but it is tolerating that pressure. Every tolerance has a breaking point. So also this inside. You're tolerating your relatives, you're tolerating your relations, you're tolerating the environment, you're tolerating everything. There comes a point wherein you say, enough is enough. I'm done. Frustration leads to that breaking point. See, from the outside when you are breaking, there is only pain and hurt and feeling, left out. But when it happens inside, when the breaking happens inside, in the name of sadhana, there have been people who have gotten depressed, who have gotten excessively agitated. Why? Because the initial step itself was forsaken. Is it only in this Vedanta? No. Even when doing our, say, yogasanas, we want to go directly to the yogasana, asana, pranayama, those steps. What about the first two steps? No yoga teacher is interested in teaching those. Because more difficult than twisting your body is the first two steps. Yama, niyama. Yama has 8 steps, niyama has 8 steps. Then comes asana pranayama. Have you attended yoga classes? Has anybody taught, focused, explained what yama niyama is? Without yama niyama, we have not learnt alphabets. We are already trying to learn the spelling of difficult words. Yama niyama first. Similarly here, the first and foremost, just because it is the first step, don't think that it is a very gross step. It is the most subtle, most important, through and through important until we reach to this Jivan Mukti. What guides? It is our Viveka. So the point that I am trying to make is, how much Viveka are we focusing on? How much time and resources are we employing so that that Viveka is strengthened, that Viveka is not some loose pole that is kept. When these goal posts or a lamp post or a flag post has to be put, you have to dig the hole deep and you have to ensure that it is unshakable. Otherwise, a little push, what will happen? The entire thing will fall. Clarity that Viveka will bring. There will be enough things on the outside. I'll tell you my jolting experience right in the beginning of when I had joined the Vedanta course. I had joined, we were expected at particular date. For various reasons I had to join. I joined about 6 days or 7 days earlier. So the entire space, there is a Vivekalaya, there is a Annakshetra, they were still being constructed. The flooring was being done. The Annakshetra flooring that we see today, there were 2 or 3 different iterations that were done. The entire flooring was chipped away, removed. If you can imagine that space, it is like 10 times this hall, this space, or even more. Imagine that entire flooring being ripped and removed. So even then I had a little inkling towards construction. So I went straight to Guruji. I said, इतना वेस्ट क्यों कर रहे हैं? So Guruji just smiled, called somebody on the phone, and it was the manager of the ashram. I said, इसके measurements लेना. I said, what is happening here? I am talking about that Annakshetra, why is my measurements required? Then he said, लगता है यहाँ ये कर्मचारी बनने आया है, ब्रह्मचारी बनने नहीं आया. Zatak Zolt. The Viveka should have the clarity. What is the purpose for which I have come? Am I getting across? We start with one purpose, get deviated into all unnecessaries, thinking that that is spirituality. I mean, it's very subtle. So Kabir Das, he says, either it is Ram Naam or Hari Naam. आए थे राम नाम को, ओटन लगे कपास. See, many people you see that, the earlier days there was no electricity, so they had to make those wicks for the lamps. So you spend time, there's a considerable amount of time to create those for all the lamps required for the entire house. You cannot start doing it at that time when it is suddenly the evening and the sun is setting down, then you start doing it, it becomes difficult. So there was considerable amount of time spent for it. We are intelligent people. While you are sitting there to do your japa, आए थे हरि नाम के लिए. Doing Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. वैसे भी this whole thing is happening inside, right? So let me take that cotton and start, twining it so that I can utilize this time efficiently by doing this also, that also. What will happen? Neither this will happen nor that will happen. Then we get embroiled in he said, she said, that said, this said. आए किस लिए थे? What have we come for? Where are we getting enmeshed in? Oh, and don't go about thinking that, I thought Chinmaya Mission is a spiritual organization. Why is there politics here? Chhi. What, do you think that those who are here have come straight from heaven or what? You and me alone. The same human being in this side of the fence, who may or may not have this viveka, what will happen? There will be nothing but politics. And on the top of it, give me 2 people, I will show you 3 parties. My party, your party, and when required, our party. What is the purpose that we come here for? See, it is so difficult to keep that focus In the Chinmaya mission, when I was in the West, we have built an ashram space. We use it efficiently for Balavihar, Yuva Kendra, study group and all of that. But then there comes the idea. We have so much of space. The utility is so low. Can we start renting it? Like how we discussed. For marriages, for this, for that. Do you know what you end up becoming? Property manager. Not sadhakas anymore. In Ramayana, there is a story. In Valmiki Ramayana. There is somebody who has wronged a dog. And the dog appeals and says, Nyaya has to be done to me. So he says, you only tell what should be the Nyaya. He says, curse him to become a ashram mathadipati. How serious it is. That is a shapa that you curse him to be the mathadipati. Why? Because you come here for one purpose, it gets deviated and goes somewhere completely different. We haven't even started proper Vedanta classes. We already want dance class, music class, yoga class, marriage convention halls. What is the purpose of Chinmaya mission, man? Am I getting across? Viveka in all terms, that which takes you towards anatma, that which attaches you more towards anatma, as far away as possible, not because you are disgusted by it, just because you are clear, the viveka is clear as to what is the purpose and direction. If viveka is not there, none of this can happen. Where should our manana begin? Because we are all interested in closing eyes. Meditation. Oh, that is such a ultimate step. It's up there. Where nididhyasana has to happen, where the erroneous perceptions has to be removed. Erroneous habitual perception has to be removed. Here the clarity itself is not there. What are you talking about? Erroneous perceptions to be removed. Hopefully I am getting across that if this Jivan Mukti has to be reached, the strongest thing that has to be there is Viveka. Let's reassess our baseline, start working from there so that when we take higher steps, there is not a slip, there is not a pause, but there is a steady growth towards that higher. I'll stop here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.